You're holding a piece of information right now that someone else doesn't have. Maybe it's small, a surprise you're planning, a conversation you've been asked not to repeat. Whatever it is, you're doing something that feels completely ordinary, but is actually a fairly sophisticated trick, managing two separate versions of reality in your head at once, yours and theirs, and making sure they stay separate. The easy assumption is that this isn't really a big deal. Plenty of animals hide things. A squirrel buries food and doesn't announce where. A bird might fake an injury to lure a predator away from its nest. If hiding something counts as secret keeping, animals have been doing it forever. But researchers who study this draw a sharper line than that, and it's worth understanding exactly where they draw it, because a real human-style secret is doing something considerably more complicated than simply hiding an object. Here's the core skill underneath it: theory of mind, the ability to understand that another person's knowledge and beliefs are separate from your own and can be different from what you know to be true. A squirrel hiding food doesn't need to model what another squirrel believes about that food's location. It just needs to hide it well. A human keeping a secret needs something extra, an ongoing, active model of what the other person does and doesn't know, updated in real time, so you can avoid accidentally revealing it through a slip of the tongue, a reaction, or an inconsistency in your story. That's a fundamentally different cognitive task, and researchers treat it as one of the clearest behavioral markers that theory of mind has actually developed in a child, or exists at all in a given species. Notice how much has to happen simultaneously for that to work. You have to hold the true version of events in your own head, hold a separate, false, or incomplete version for the other person, remember which version you've told to whom, and keep updating both as the conversation moves. Do that badly, even once, and the secret falls apart. It's less like hiding an object and more like running two accounts of reality at the same time without letting them collide. There's a second ingredient layered on top of that. Researchers describe deception and secrecy as depending not just on theory of mind, but also on what's called deontic reasoning, understanding social rules, obligations, and expectations well enough to know what you're supposed to reveal, what you're allowed to withhold, and what consequences might follow either choice. Both of these are described in the research as evolved responses to the specific demands of group living, where navigating other people's expectations accurately, and sometimes strategically working around them, mattered enormously for how well you functioned within your community. Language makes this whole system dramatically more powerful. Researchers describe deception as a derived function of language, meaning the same advanced inference and communication tools that let you teach someone something, warn them, or coordinate a plan with them are the same tools that let you deliberately shape what they believe, including shaping it away from the truth. The capacity to keep a convincing secret and the capacity to explain something clearly and honestly are cognitively much closer relatives than they might feel like from the inside. You can actually watch this machinery come online if you look at how it develops in children. Kids begin using basic concealment strategies from a surprisingly early age, hiding something they know they're not supposed to have, for instance. But actually pulling off an effective, sustained secret requires more than the basic impulse to hide something. It requires working memory to keep track of what you've said to whom and what still needs to stay hidden, and inhibitory control, the ability to stop yourself from blurting out the thing you're holding back, especially under pressure or direct questioning. Researchers have specifically studied how theory of mind develops alongside those two other cognitive skills in children, because a child can understand, in principle, that someone else doesn't know something and still be developmentally incapable of successfully keeping that information contained. Real secret keeping is a coordinated skill, not a single switch that flips on all at once. Now the honest complication, and it's a significant one for a topic like this. There is no fossil, no artifact, no dated physical evidence that can tell you when this capability first appeared in human evolution. Theory of mind doesn't leave a mark in stone. What supports this entire picture is cognitive science, developmental psychology, and comparative research looking at related capacities in other species, not archaeology. That means this story can't be pinned to a date the way something like a tool or a burial can be. What researchers can describe with real confidence is how the capacity works and what it requires, not precisely when in the deep past it switched on. That's a genuinely different kind of question than most of what a video like this usually deals with. You're not asking when a behavior left physical debris that survived tens of thousands of years. You're asking when a capacity switched on inside minds that left no direct trace of their inner workings at all. Something closer to trying to date the first time someone had a private thought, which is, almost by definition, unrecoverable. Bring this back to your own daily life, because the machinery behind a Paleolithic scale mystery is running constantly in situations that feel almost too small to notice. Planning a surprise party requires you to track exactly what the guest of honor knows at every stage, adjusting your behavior so nothing slips. A poker face requires suppressing an automatic reaction while modeling what your opponent might read into your expression if you fail. Even a small social lie, telling someone you love a gift you don't actually like, requires understanding what they currently believe, what you want them to keep believing, and enough self-control not to let your real reaction leak through. All of it runs on the same underlying system: theory of mind, social rule awareness, memory, and self-control working together. That system cuts in two directions at once, and it's worth being honest about both. The same capacities that let you keep a secret also let you cooperate with someone, teach them something they don't yet understand, comfort them by anticipating what they're feeling, or coordinate a plan that depends on everyone tracking different pieces of shared information correctly. Secrecy and deception are one output of this cognitive toolkit. Empathy, teaching, and complex cooperation are other outputs of the exact same toolkit. You didn't evolve a separate system for lying and a separate system for connecting with people. It appears to be the same system, aimed in different directions, depending on the situation and your intentions in it. So here's the best current answer. Secret keeping isn't simply hiding something the way an animal might hide food. It depends on theory of mind, the ability to track that someone else's knowledge differs from your own, combined with an understanding of social rules and enough working memory and self-control to keep the concealment consistent under pressure. Language appears to have made this dramatically more powerful. since deception draws on the same inferential tools that make language useful for honest communication in the first place. What's genuinely open and likely to stay that way is exactly when, in human evolution, this cluster of abilities first came together, since none of it leaves the kind of physical trace archaeology can date. Here's a question for the comments. What's a secret you've kept that you think revealed more about your relationship with that person than telling the truth would have? Next time, we're looking at a very different kind of hidden challenge, one with a physical answer instead of a cognitive one. How did ancient humans cross wide, dangerous rivers with no boats at all?